There need to be more transparency about what's being used on the products and what the chemicals are doing in the human body. If that's clear, the solution is there easily. And then organic farming can feed the world as a system. To me, that's for sure.
Hello everyone and welcome to the podcast Digging Deeper by Stichting Boerengroep Wageningen. This podcast will dig deep into agriculture matters and practices. From the fields of the Netherlands to the far-reaching corners of the world, we explore a broad spectrum of agricultural topics to hopefully educate and inspire you, our listeners. Our episodes will provide knowledge from both science and practice to explore every topic from multiple perspectives. We are on a mission for a social, just, and sustainable food system that nourishes both people and the planet. We invite you to be a part of this mission. So, without further ado, let's start digging deeper together by diving into this episode. André Jurrius is the biodynamic farmer behind Ekoboerderij de Lingehof and also the guest of this episode. The Lingehof has been the workspace of André for 18 years and he grows many different crops on his 130 hectares and is a very skilled farmer. He produces food in a biodynamic way with the aim to provide healthy food for human and nature. In this episode, he talks very passionately about being a farmer, pesticides, the food chain, and also the struggle that comes with being an organic farmer. I personally really enjoyed this conversation, and hopefully you will too. Good morning, André. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Yeah, nice to be here.
I'm happy that you're here as well. Thank you so much for taking your time and leaving the farm for a few hours. What kind of time is it right now at the Lingehof?
Yeah, it's the harvest is done. So luckily we have the harvest was inside like half October, and we seeded all the winter crops, the cereals and the green manure. After half of October, it starts raining till today. It's the 24th of November, so it's very wet. It means we are not outside working in the field, but doing all kinds of maintenance on the machinery and delivering the crops who are in the storage and to the customers.
Yeah, and how did the summer season go for you this year?
This was kind of a difficult year. Is it because of climate change? I don't know. But what we see is there was more extreme weather. So we had a very wet spring. In the growing season, it was really dry and very windy. So it's really difficult to get the crop started. We had an awful wet summer. So basically all the cereals did not work out well. So we're growing cereals for the windmill in Wageningen, and because of the really wet summer, the quality of the cereals was really poor quality. So that's for feed now. That's too bad. Luckily, the September was really good weather, so we get all the rest of the harvest inside okay. And then it starts raining again, and now it's really, really wet. So it's more extreme, it's more difficult to work with. So we have to kind of adopt this in our system of the farm.
Yeah, and is this something you noticed throughout past years as well, that it's getting more extreme?
Yeah, I'm farming for 18 years now on this farm. And yes, you can see every year is kind of different, but this year looks like it's more extreme. Like the time of being dry, the time of being wet is more extreme.
And you said you have been farming on this farm for 18 years. Have you been farming on another farm before you moved to the Lingehof?
Not for myself, but I grew up on a farm. And since I was 3 years old, I knew I want to be a farmer. Worked on my parents' farm and immigrated to Canada to find out if I wanted to farm over there. Came back to the Netherlands, worked on a conventional farm in the province of Zeeland. And I worked there for 3 years, and then I had the opportunity to start this farm. And this farm is located beside our old parents' farm. So kind of feeling coming back home, back to my roots.
Close to your roots, indeed. Okay. That's kind of you're working in what you always dreamed of right now.
Kind of, yeah. When I was in the 18, 20 years old, I didn't think I was going to be an organic farmer. At that time, I grew up on a conventional farm, and using chemicals was very common. And we were not aware about organic farming. At that time, it was really like a couple people did organic farming, and they were kind of strange people. So no, I never thought I would be organic farmer, a biodynamic farmer even now.
Yeah, the Lingehof is indeed like a biodynamic farm. Can you tell us what that means?
Yeah, first, what's the organic farming is on my farm. It's not using any chemicals, so that's the easy one. Not using fertilizer, not using chemicals at all. Nothing. And we're using as much as we can organic input, organic manure, organic seeds. And if it's the biodynamic, it's a more holistic way of farming. So we're trying to work with the moon calendar and prepare it. And that's why we are on the moment.
Okay, and why did you, 18 years ago, decide that you wanted to choose an organic way of farming instead of conventional?
I traveled around the world, worked on a lot of conventional farms, and I saw the amount of spraying was being used, and the problems who are connected to the soil of the field, connected to the human body, and the system was not working right anymore. Farmers have to work like really hard and make no money at all, and that's a strange, stupid system. In the organic, it's different, and to me, that was an opportunity. The Lingehof was the opportunity to start organic farming for myself, and using those chemicals, I was kind of more and more afraid of using those chemicals, and the fertilizers for my soil quality. I saw the quality of the soil is really getting poor and difficult if you use a lot of chemicals, and then I mean fertilizers as well.
Yeah, and have you ever felt like in the past 18 years that you struggled more because you were an organic farmer in comparison to a conventional farmer?
Yep, the struggling is a lot more. So you have the way you farm, it's harder, it's more difficult, and you really have to think in advance. So you cannot change anything during the growing season with chemicals anymore. So you have to work like in advance. So you need a good crop rotation. You need good healthy soil. That takes time. That takes a lot of time to get good healthy soil, and we're still working on it. That's what we do now.
Okay, so you kind of have to be more skilled and really think ahead.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So that's what we did, and that's why we tried to connect with the ones who's buying our products, making a good long connection that we know what they want, what quality they want, what amount they want, and then we can work on that way towards the market.
Yeah, you said that the cereals, they go, for example, to the windmill here in Wageningen, but now this summer they were too wet, so the quality was not good enough. What does that mean in the relationship that you have towards the windmill? Are they, because it also had consequences for them, right?
Yeah,
How
correct.
do they cope with that?
Yeah, that's always a difficult one. The lucky part is that we found some, for example, the spelt was the problem on the most on the moment. So luckily he found something in Belgium, good quality. The cereals, we had some left over from last year, and the one who were harvested were just good enough. So we still can deliver, but what I want to say is like, because we have the connection with the windmill with Bart, I already saw like in July it's gonna happen. So I told him, Bart, this is not gonna work this year. I think the quality will be not good enough. We have to take action, and that's when you have a close circle together, a short chain. It's easily to adapting those problems.
Yeah, so you're thinking ahead already.
Always.
Warned him, and then okay. Yeah. And you mentioned your crop rotation. Can you explain the listeners what the crop rotation means and what kind of crops you grow at the Lingehof?
We are the scale of the Lingehof is like around 130 hectares, and we grow 10 different crops. There's grass clover. It's the most important crop. It's kind of the engine of the farm, but it doesn't make any money. We'll deliver it to the dairy farmers, and they bring the manure back to my farm. We close the circle in that way. After the grass clover, because that's the engine again, it's rooting deep. It's nitrogen fixing, so that makes a healthy soil. We see the onions. The onions are for the cash crop. We deliver them to the south part of Germany, and they are biodynamic certified. So that's the market. We are trying to make some money. After the onions, we mostly seed cereals. The winter wheat or spelt is a kind of relaxing crop for the soil again. After that, we'll seed some pumpkins, sweet corn. We also seed quinoa and peas. Green peas for industrial production. And one important crop is the lupin. I do grow lupin since 2008, and it's a very good crop for the soil, and it's a very healthy crop.
Yeah, that's actually something I really wanted to talk about as well. Lupin, that's something I'm really excited about. It's a crop that is also nitrogen fixating, right?
Yeah, correct.
And it's high in protein, it's super healthy. Also, I personally think it's a very pretty plant. It has very nice leaves. And you're also the co-founder, you grow it at your farm, but you're also the co-founder of Lekker Lupine. Can you tell us what Lekker Lupine does and what your role is there and the mission of Lekker Lupine?
The mission is lupins on everybody's plate. So that's a very clear one. I started growing lupins in 2008. It was that time for the vegetarian butcher, and we quit growing that for them. There was no reason, and I was like in 2018. I was looking to all my crops, and I found for every crop a good partner. Only for lupins, I thought this crop really can be bigger. We can be a bigger crop in the Netherlands. So I did go to the Rabo Food Forward. I met Marieke Lameres, and together we did set up the Lekker Lupine. And Lekker Lupine is an organization, and it's an organization to get producers, lupin producers, connected to the market, and we want to help that working better. So farmers grow lupin. We are trying to find the right market. We are busy with making new products, and trying to make commercial to make it more commercial, so everybody starts knowing lupins, because indeed it's a very nice plant, beautiful flowers. For 3 weeks, it has a lot of insects. It's nitrogen fixing. It's a kind of easier crop to grow, and it makes a really healthy soil, and it's really healthy for human as well. So I think a lot of solutions on this moment with the lupins. It's a kind of golden bean.
Yeah, and is Lekker Lupine also like designing products that lupin can be used for? For example, a vegan burger
Yeah, on this moment we're really busy in that part to find new products, and we're trying to make some spreads and pickles. Indeed, we can. There's another organization who makes hamburgers as well, but on the moment we are trying to focus on the whole bean.
Okay, yeah, I read that in the Mediterranean diet, they eat them as pickled beans.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that's also really interesting.
Easy.
Yeah, but I do think in the Netherlands, not a lot of people know what lupin is.
Not yet, so.
No, but it kind of has the potential to maybe in the future become the soy of the Netherlands then.
Yeah, of course, it's my dream.
Yeah.
And please, let's stop with importing the soybeans.
Yeah,
that's another dream. We are working on it. But indeed, it can be kind of the Dutch soy as well. Although in the Netherlands, soybeans are growing as well. So it's not similar. The lupins has another quality as soybeans. Sorry.
Yeah. And are there already products with your lupin or lupin from other farms in the Netherlands that we can buy in the supermarket, for example? Or
at the moment, they're in the glass bottle and in the sealed bags or packs.
Yeah.
Doosje.
Yeah.
From Bone, and on that's ready to buy now in the in the Odin or so.
Yeah, but then just the whole bean.
It's the whole bean. Yeah. So we are still in the process of making new products, and I hope we can launch it this year.
Yeah, because I use it sometimes as well, but it's kind of a little bit of a bitter bean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be the bitter ones because we're trying to grow the sweet beans.
Okay.
So it has the problem with the lupin. Sometimes it has a kind of bitterness. So we are really finding out the right varieties to get the lowest bitterness as possible. And if you cook them well, the bitterness will not be there anymore.
Okay. Then I maybe should cook them in a different way.
Probably a little longer.
Probably a little longer, yeah, indeed.
And just wash them a couple times. It really helps.
Okay. I will do that. Thanks for the tip. You already mentioned the soil a few times. So the soil is kind of the thing you're depending on, right? In your crop rotation, etc. Is it, in your opinion, if you have an organic soil, is that always better than a soil of a conventional farm?
They're completely different.
Okay.
And of course they're better, but there's way more life to find because the chemicals kill off a lot. We even do not know how much it does kill, but a lot. We know like in one scoop of dirt there are so many bacterials we even can count. So there's so much going on in the soil, and if you use chemicals, you kill a lot. So, and then you need another chemical again to solve a problem because your soil is not healthy. So it's a kind of circle.
Yeah.
So the organic soil, but you have to take care of it as well. Mostly it's a lot better, and we try to make the transition to regenerative farming to keep everything green. We are farming on river clay soil. It's quite difficult soil to work with, but using the green manure on the moment really helps us a lot. If we look outside in the field now with this much rain, the fields are green and there's lots of roots, so there's a high infiltration of water because of the green manure. Because of the system, I make the transition now. We see the soil is more capable to handle this kind of more extreme weather. So I think we're kind of in balance with the climate change on the moment. Only as a farmer, I have to make decisions I don't know before I start doing this. So yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of an insecure profession as well.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the insecurity of being a farmer?
You always have to be kind of on. Mm-hmm. So you're 24/7, you're there. You always look at the weather forecast and you look outside, you look at the soil. And if something needs to be done, it has to be done. Yeah. So there's everything has to get away for you, but you need to be there at the farm, or somebody has to do the job or whatever. Yeah. But the job has to be done. That's really important because we have a very short window of time to do the jobs.
Yeah, but what is, in your opinion, then on the other hand, the beauty of being a farmer or being an organic farmer in your case?
To be there on the right time, doing the right thing, and find out the system is working. You work with the machinery you have, with the soil you're working with the climate you're working with. To bring that together, it's a kind of puzzle. I do like it a lot. Yeah. But the puzzle gets more difficult every year.
Yeah, like I can imagine. Yeah. We already talked about that. That of course farmers are struggling, and you also said as a organic farmer you have to think more ahead and maybe be a little bit more skilled. And the question that is frequently asked nowadays is, can we feed the world with organic farming methods? And of course, this is a very big question, and we can also argue why that question is not necessarily the right question to ask. But still, I wanted to ask you the question. And yeah, hear what your opinion is on this. Can we feed the world with organic farming methods?
The answer is yes. So it's an easy answer. But how to do it? If I look at my farm, yes, we have lower yields, like between 20 and 40% lower yields. But only 5% of the farms are using organic farming. So we need to learn a lot more. And if like 100% of the farmers has to grow organic, machinery will change quickly. We're adapting new systems. We're looking more to the quality of the food we eat, so we can use less. There's less food waste. So that because of the food is such a cheap thing, we don't care anymore. So we need to take care again. And that's because of the cheap food system. We changed our lives dramatically. So we have to change back again.
Yeah. So there's really like a systematic change then.
Definitely.
Yeah. So there's a fragment that I would like to listen to together. It's by Martin van Ittersum. He's a researcher at Wageningen University. And I also asked him this question, and he mainly answers the question like, can we feed the world with organic agriculture? But yeah, I would like to listen to that for a minute.
My name is Martin van Ittersum. I'm a professor in plant production systems. My work, my research and my education is mostly about how to produce food in different places on our planet, how to produce more on existing land, particularly, of course, important for Africa, South Asia, where population is still increasing, and how to produce cleaner and more environmentally sustainable in other parts of the world where demand increase is not the issue, but really the sustainability of our food production is the key issue. So about the role of organic agriculture and whether or not it can feed the world, to me that's not a very sensible question perhaps to ask whether organic agriculture can feed the world, but I can try to address it later on. First, I want to say that I believe there will not easily be a situation in which the entire world will go for organic or any other type of agriculture. There is so much variation in conditions and requirements as to our agriculture systems that there will be very different priorities and different niches for different types of agriculture, and organic agriculture is one of them. And I don't think it would be sensible to try to push it towards 100% organic everywhere in the world. Should we do that, then I can say something about the implications of that. First of all, if you look into the literature about differences in productivity between, let's say, mainstream agriculture and organic agriculture, then the yield differences between crops are usually 20-25%. So organic agriculture has 20-25% lower yields than mainstream agriculture. That is an average, and there's a huge variation between crops in different places on our planet, different conditions, etc. But let's take that as a truth to keep it simple, 20-25%. There's one important thing to say about this. This is at crop level. And it assumes that the organic crop is fertilized with manure, or it's benefiting from, for instance, nitrogen from legume crops, which are grown on other parts of the farm, and not that crop that we are considering. And that manure and that nitrogen from legumes is not coming for free. It doesn't come from it doesn't fall from the air, so to speak. To produce that manure and to produce that legume nitrogen, you also need land, extra land, and to have the cows that can graze the grass and that can then produce the manure, and the manure you can use on your cropland. So if you factor that in the comparison of organic and mainstream agriculture, your yield difference would not be 20-25%, but probably closer to 45-50%. So you need extra land to produce the manure and to produce the legume nitrogen that can then be used to fertilize your crops. So from an entire systems perspective, if you look at the entire agriculture system and you want to produce a certain amount of food, then through an organic system you would probably need, well, it's a rough guess, but close to 2 times more land to produce that same amount of food than the mainstream agriculture. Now, whether that's possible or not largely depends on what we eat. If we eat less and we moderate our consumption, then probably that is not a real issue, and there could be enough land to produce enough for all people. But if we, let's say, maintain our current consumption patterns as we have in the United States, Northwest Europe, etc., and other parts of the world to evolve towards that same consumption pattern, then it might be a real problem, because then we would need twice as much land, and we don't have that. At least it would really compete a lot with our ecosystems and nature conservation purposes, etc. Again, and that's my last comment, there is one thing that I should say. We can moderate our diets and change our consumption, and in that way perhaps make it possible in principle to produce organically. But there's one thing I should mention. Organic agriculture depends on livestock to some extent. It depends on manure. So if we moderate our consumption a lot in terms of livestock product consumption, it would also mean a much smaller livestock sector. And then the question is there really enough nutrients coming from the livestock to keep the organic system going? So to cut a long story short, I think it would be hugely challenging and to me not sensible to try to feed the world just with organic agriculture. Organic agriculture can have a role on certain places for certain markets in let's say vulnerable areas where you shouldn't use external inputs because you're close to nature reserves, etc. That is the niche of organic agriculture, and how important that niche is depends on a lot of things. And in other places, I think conditions and the whole system is better off with other types of agriculture.
Okay, so we just listened to Martin van Ittersum. Is there something that you would like to say or any thoughts about this fragment?
Yeah, it's interesting what he says. And some, like 80% I agree, but some I disagree. Like if you need 2 times as much land, I'm not sure. I do understand what he does say, but he forgot about what kind of energy the conventional farming are using, so he doesn't take that in account. And to make that energy, you can use fossil fuels, but you also can use green plants. So then you need 2 times as much land as well. And if you think about how much food is going in the biogas installations, how much food is going in there to make energy to make fertilizer again, it's a really ugly circle. So if you take that into account, there is so much more to win. So it's too easy to say like organic needs twice as much surface as conventional, but I don't want to make that in discussion.
No, because he is also not here, of course, to react. No. But what I'm hearing you both say is to make it possible or nearly possible in what he's saying, we for sure need to handle our food consumption differently. So less food waste, maybe a diet change, a system change in general. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing both of you.
And quality of food.
Do you then mean that people need to, like the consumers need to want more quality, and therefore people are asking for more organic?
Yeah, if you're really strict and you look what you eat and you do it organic and you just eat what you need. It doesn't cost a lot more, and it's really efficient too. So if you eat without food waste, really like that's unreal what the food waste will be like on my potato field. Maybe the potatoes who are in the field and finally being eaten to the consumer, maybe 50% of food waste will be in the whole chain lost.
Yeah. That's also quite sad, I can imagine.
That's really sad.
That you look at your yield, like your hard work, and then half of it is wasted, actually.
Yeah. That's good food. Only it is not as nice, and there are some black spots or whatever.
Yeah.
Always something.
So it's not suitable for being in the supermarkets.
Most of the time, that's a big problem.
Yeah. You're talking about you have a short chain with your the people you produce for. Are there also crops that have, for example, the potatoes, like a longer chain? So you already mentioned the onions go to Germany.
Yep, it's a longer chain.
Yeah.
And you see the quality they're asking for. It's almost impossible to grow in organic farming.
Okay.
So there's a lot of waste going on. We don't know, but the same thing with the potatoes. And mostly, if you talk with the other organic farmers, and they deliver in Europe, the standards are really high because you're working in a longer chain. There's something weird going on as well, because when the chain is longer, the adaptation of the crop is getting less. So it's not really identified by the farmer anymore.
Yeah.
And then there's always a problem somewhere on the way.
Yeah, yeah. And do you think more farmers would like to become organic if the system would let them?
The problem on the moment is the market.
The market.
So
okay.
Farmers do want to change, or a lot of change already, but the farmers who are changing on the moment, they're scared to change because of the market. On my farm, like last year, I think 30 to 40% of the biodynamic crops, we did sell it to conventional because there was no market.
Okay.
So that doesn't make sense to those people to convert to organic, although they want.
Yeah. I can imagine that if you have this biodynamic product, that it is also, that's worth more money than a conventional
product. It does
product.
cost a lot more money too.
Yeah, it costs a lot more money, and that's why it's also worth more, of course.
Yeah.
But then if you have to sell it for conventional, I can imagine you just get the price for conventional.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay. That's no fun. So that really takes the energy out.
Yeah, yeah. But how do you look at the future?
Yeah, so if this is happening, and people, other farmers around me think, what am I doing on the moment? I'm working my ass off to make good food, like what everybody wants, or they say they want, and we cannot sell it. And we did invest a lot. It's a long investment. Like for organic farming, you need 2 years to convert, but at least 3, 4, 5, 6 years before you find the market, etc., etc. So it takes a long time for investment, and then when you are organic, you cannot sell your product as organic. It really it's kind of hold everybody kind of back.
Yeah, I can imagine it's also kind of demotivating, or for who am I doing this?
Correct.
Yeah. But if I ask you, for who are you doing this, what is your answer?
For the happy consumer who does want to organic products.
Okay.
And I just continue doing this. It's happening once in a while. And I hope in the future people will be willing to buy organic, because they see the system is working and they don't want to have chemicals in their body, because this is really an important part. We have no clue what's happening in our body with the chemicals, and that's a lot.
Yeah. Is that maybe also a gap between then science and practice? Like we don't really know yet what the consequences are.
Yeah, we don't want to know.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
We don't want to. We like to look away.
Yeah.
I think that's a bigger problem.
Yeah, and there's also, of course, a big industry behind pesticides, and maybe
it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. You talked about I'm doing it for the happy consumers that want organic products. Is there anything you would like to say to consumers in general or ask them as an organic farmer with a dream of growing the movement of organic?
Yeah, what has to be needed that you easily buy those organic products? What are we doing wrong that the consumer talks about that he wants it, but if he is there in the supermarket, doesn't take it? There's a huge gap. And what do we need to do as organic farmers to close that gap? You can say it's about the money, but then we're losing all the time because it does cost more money to produce organic. But the service, the green services we provide with this product, if you look at water quality, air quality, soil quality, biodiversity, and don't forget about the health of the people, healthcare services. It's a huge pile of money. It's in the product, and if you buy the product, you're buying this as well. And you have to as a consumer, you have to see this.
Yeah, think more on the long term as well, instead of just when you have to pay at the end of your.
Yeah, and if you cannot pay, go to the farm directly, buy it directly. You're supporting the farmer, you're supporting yourself as well, and it's easy being done.
Yeah.
So it's more, do you want, yes or no?
Yeah. Something that I would like to touch up on what you said about biodiversity, etc. Last month we had Claudine Klinge in the podcast, and there's this fragment that I would also like to listen to together.
The organic movement, which exists for several decennia already, the past decennia, they tried to reply in the same narrative as conventional. So conventional says we have to feed the world, and they talk about kilos per hectare, and then organic replies in the same frame. And I think it's time now, and there I do see hope. I don't see the real strong evidence in terms of numbers yet, but I do see a lot of hope. I do believe really in our movement, that we are starting to understand that the narrative is wrong, like that the frame is wrong. So we shouldn't reply in kilos per hectare. We shouldn't reply in euros. We should reply in what's valuable to us. And this is something that really appeals to consumers, the people in the city, and eventually also to policymakers. So we agroecological farmers, we farm because we want to allow biodiversity to flourish. We want to farm because we want to think working outdoors is more healthy than indoors. We farm because we like it. We farm because we feel like we have to. And then there comes some food out of it.
So that was Claudine Klinge. Anything you would like to say about this?
I think she's right. We farm,
yeah,
and there's food. The conventional farmer does feel the same thing. And he's stuck in a system, and he can't go out. And we are, with organic, almost stuck in the same system. So it's clear that we have to change,
yeah,
to get out of the system. And how to do, I do not have an answer. So I'm a farmer and just continue farming. And that's where my profession will be. But the next step, really, we need help from the government and people who can look overall, yeah, and have a bigger view. And the social services we take account for, make it accountable for the farmer as well, being serious in that part.
Yeah. So getting a more fair life as a farmer.
Yeah, a fair trade.
Fair trade.
Having a fair price, having fair values in what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, so the question that I maybe also on purpose asked, of course, can we feed the world with organic farming? Maybe we should more approach it to, can we feed the world if we still lose biodiversity and our soils are degrading, etc.? So maybe that's a better question.
Yeah, but that's quite negative.
Yeah, of course. But then the answer is no. So we have to focus on the positive, on the biodiversity and on the soil health.
Yeah, but the food quality, what do you think about the food quality? Like no chemicals are there attached anymore. And I think that
good point.
That's even I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah, is that also your biggest motivation, like the...
If you know you eat Roundup,
Yeah.
do you eat?
No, I don't.
No. I think 100% of the people will say no.
Yeah.
Only they don't know.
Yeah, there's this gap.
There need to be more transparency
Yeah.
about what's being used on the products and what the chemicals are doing in the human body.
Yeah.
If that's clear, the solution is there
Yeah.
easily. And then organic farming can feed the world as a system. To me, that's for sure.
Yeah. So that's maybe also a nice wrap up and ask the listeners to think about, okay, if you ask them the question, do you want to eat Roundup? They probably say no. And then also think about, okay, but then that means that maybe you want to buy more organic, or at least think about it.
Think about it.
Yeah. Is there anything before we end the episode that you would still like to say, or a topic that you would like to discuss?
Yeah, I heard Martin was talking about Africa as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky because I had a student from Ethiopia, and he worked on my farm, and he's a good farmer. And now we're trying to coach him to start organic farming in Ethiopia as well. And we do that to collect money and to send them over equipment, machinery, to get the farming there, get his farm there started. And I hope a lot of people will join.
Wow, that's a beautiful journey. André, thank you so much for your time and your knowledge, and that you wanted to share with us. And I wish you a lot of luck on the Lingehof in the next years. And thank you so much for your organic work.
You're welcome. No thanks.
Thank you so much for making it to the end of the episode. André ended his story with the fundraising he is starting for an Ethiopian farmer. I will leave the details of this fundraising in the description. And as food security is a very big issue in Ethiopia, it would be awesome if you take a look at it. And the website of Ekoboerderij de Lingehof and Lekker Lupine is also linked in the description. If you are curious about lupin, don't hesitate and go to the organic store nearby and buy yourself a jar and use the tip that André gave. If you want to know more about Boerengroep Wageningen, the organization behind this podcast, you can find our details in the description as well. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can also come to one of our open meetings every other Tuesday, or to one of our informal breaks every other Thursday, where we chat and enjoy drinks together. And if you have any questions, or if you just want to reach out to this podcast, feel free to send us an email to podcast_diggingdeeper@outlook.com. Thanks again for listening, and I wish you an amazing day.